we'll just.
Welcome to the Weasel. Welcome to the Weasel. Whip out your dicks and shove them in your ass. Welcome to the Weasel with Mican and Jonah.
Good morning, good evening, hello everybody. This is another installment of Man Yells at Cloud. I believe it is number 6 of Man Yells at Cloud. Maybe 7. I'm not sure. I've made a note to go refresh myself on the Roman numerals because that is how I've labeled them out, and I do not know them off the top of my head. So, interesting Roman numerals because they are just dashes in different shapes, different directions, just different directional dashes that create a number system. I actually always thought that was really interesting, number systems, because, our basic math we get from, what is it, like an amalgamation of Sanskrit and, like ancient Sanskrit and, Roman numerals. But, yeah, wild shit. I don't know much about that, so I'm not going to talk about it. Maybe someday I'll learn. Maybe that's what I'll do, when yeah. Anywho, um, man, I was trying to think of something to talk about on this, and I couldn't really think of anything. And the first thing that come to mind really is just that it's a um the Man Yells at Cloud series is really just rather than a podcast, it's more like an exercise for the brain, for the speech, for the ability to just talk about, well, I guess anything or nothing. It doesn't really matter what it is. The whole idea is just to, I guess, take the steady stream of thoughts that roll off the tip of the brain and somehow catch them and then put them onto the tongue and then have them roll off the tongue in a way that's digestible and listenable, which is not super easy. Uh, Anybody that knows me personally knows that I talk super fast. I talk super fast, and my thoughts don't always line up correctly, and I get super passionate or worked up about things as well. And obviously, we all know how that goes because once you start doing that, then it's like, oh my god, this fucking person's just ranting about some shit that's like, well, yeah, we don't fucking care. And problem with ranting is like, in this medium, it kind of makes sense. There's a lot of podcasters out there that do just rant podcasts, which I can respect. I think it's really cool. Um, but I don't know if that's something I'm very good at, just because, at least not something that I'm very good at ranting, like doing when I'm ranting about stuff that I don't have planned out. Right. The idea of just going off the top of my head and ranting about something I'm passionate about, I usually get lost. Although maybe that's the problem. Maybe I'm ranting about things I'm legitimately passionate about, as opposed to just ranting about shit that I couldn't give a fuck about. And so that connection between my emotions and my brain is tight, right? So it's all intertwined and intermingled together, and then it comes out in one large lump. And I don't know if you've ever tried to eat a lump, but lumps are very hard to digest. So it's one of those things, I suppose. Um, yeah, but I don't know. It's interesting. Like we did the podcast yesterday. Awesome podcast. It's a interview with our friend Shane. Definitely give that a watch this Friday. Coming up. So um, the reason I'm doing this, and it's probably pretty clear, is just to practice talking in the microphone, looking at a camera, looking at you guys, the ones that are listening to this right now. Probably not watching, but, at the very least listening. Being able to do that and have some kind of thought process and, like I said, matching those up, not intertwining them, but having them run parallel to each other like train tracks. So, yeah, interesting shit. Well, maybe not even interesting shit, hard shit. Very difficult for me to do because I am just all over the place. Yeah. My office, I've recently cleaned it and I didn't really get rid of much. I got a lot of knickknacks on my wall. I've got a lot of posters and pictures and just bits. I've got a little frog statue. I've got a magnetic hourglass. I've got a drone that I've never flown. I've got a Lego tractor on the top. I've just got so much shit up there. And for some reason, when I was cleaning out the office this last week, and I could not bring myself to get rid of much, if anything. Definitely not very many of my knickknacks met the bin. I really just found another place for them, either on my desk or away. Uh, and you kind of think to yourself, like, if I'm just putting it away, it's a knickknack that I'm putting away in a box someplace. What's the point of having it? Because it's a knickknack. It's meant to be displayed. It's a thing that has sentimental value to you. And if you're not displaying that thing with sentimental value, then what's kind of the point? Or is there really that much of sentimental value to it? I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm definitely from the camp of people that enjoy having, excuse me, enjoy having little bits around me. I know Jonah is the opposite. He does not like having, like, if he was in this office right now, his brain would just, he would not be able to focus or think because there's just so much shit in here. It just feels cluttered, and I can relate to that for sure. Um, but I think that kind of speaks to the differences in creative process between the two of us. So Jonah likes to um, think about and write down stuff that's going on with him in his life. He's very what's the word preparatory. He's a lot more preparatory than me, whereas I'm a little bit more reactionary. I see a thing, I feel a thing, and then I'm like, oh, I wonder what that thing is. Makes me really feel. What do I think about that? What do I think about the feeling? So I don't know. It's I can see where he's coming from though, because as I look around at all this stuff, I mean, like I've got a bottle. It's like a 120 milliliter bottle of nicotine juice for vapes. I've never had a vape in my entire life. I probably never will have a vape in my entire life. It's not that I think vaping's dumb. I think it can be dumb, but so can smoking cigarettes. So can be drinking coffee. I've met a lot of people that are super pretentious about coffee, and they're just, um, I don't drink anything unless it's like a cappuccino made from beans that were shit out by some kind of lemur that lives in the rainforest. Speaking of the rainforest, one second, let me drink some of my coffee. That's definitely not like, I don't know, fancy by any means. This is just some hot drip in a filter, normal coffee pot coffee. And a lot of you in the States might be thinking, like, that's not odd. Why would you even have to point that out? I point that out because in Australia, not a lot of people drink that coffee. They either have like a made coffee from a coffee shop, or they'll drink instant coffee. And I haven't found an instant coffee that tickles me the same way as like a nice just cup of crude oil Joe. Something that's just thick and just slides down my gullet, warms up my tummy, gives me that little zzz of caffeine, flicks me in the forehead, just you know what I mean. Anyway, um, speaking of the rainforest, though, uh, we were watching YouTube yesterday, and there was this ad from Nestle, And Nestle's running this ad, this campaign where they're purportedly, and I don't know how true it is because that's how ads work, right? You can just say whatever you want in an ad, and unless somebody calls you out on the, the fabrications of the content of that ad, they'll just keep running it until then. But in the ad, they're running this campaign for planting trees in Australia, right? uh, every so many millions of dollars, whatever, we're gonna plant 100,000 trees. We're working to plant millions of trees in Australia. This is what we do because we're a company that gives a fuck. Um, and the first thought I had, right, and I'm sure a lot of you are probably thinking it as well. The first thought I had was, what about the rainforest? And what about where you're pulling all the cacao from? What about the places where these tribes people are just losing their land? And depending on, it doesn't matter. I don't know. I don't know what your opinion is on indigenous folks living in the Amazon rainforest, right, throughout South America, because the rainforest, it's massive. It covers the spans over many countries, but um, yeah, there's been, what is it called, fair trade. There's been a lot of push for fair trade over the last 10 years. I've definitely noticed that since I was a kid. It's gotten heaps more. But what does that actually mean? I guess I could like just look it up. Hey, why not? Just look it up. What is fair trade? What is fair trade cacao? Fair trade cacao farmers are paid a fair trade minimum price for their goods, which acts as a safeguard when market prices drop. Okay, interesting. So they pay them the same price regardless of whether or not the price of cacao drops. Is the price of cacao ever dropped? Has that ever happened? I can't imagine it has. The price of it's only ever gone up, right? Fair trade cacao farmers are paid a fair trade minimum price for their goods, which acts as a safeguard when market prices drop. Organic production is incentivized with a higher minimum price. On top of the minimum price, farmer organizations also receive a fair trade premium, which they invest in projects of their choice. Oh, so, okay, so if you are a business like Nestle or Hershey, and you um, do the minimum, whatever the bare minimum is for having organic cacao grown, right? And we've all heard about like, oh, cage free eggs, right? Or fucking organic carrots versus non-organic carrots, right? It's like they use some pesticides but not other pesticides, right? Some herbicides and not other herbicides. So I guess if you are doing that, well, whatever that bare minimum is, like, because we all know that's how business works, right? Businesses aren't going like these massive businesses aren't going above and beyond to change the way they do things. They're trying to make as much profit as they can every quarter after that, and every year they're trying to make as much profit as they can, right? So if they do that, the bare minimum to call it organic, whatever that is, I can look that up too, but they then they get a premium. So what is it like a was it like tax, like kind of similar to a tax uh rebate or something that they which they can invest in projects of their choice? That seems odd. It kind of seems like um a little bit of a rot. What is this check mark? Oh, this link is safe. Thank you, McAfee, for checking all these links before I click on them. You're good cunt, McAfee. Even if your creator did do some dodgy shit. Interesting. So yeah, I wonder what is the what is organic what is organic food? Let's see. Organic farming is the production of food without the use of synthetic chemicals or genetically modified components. Organic foods. What does it mean by organic? Organic foods are not necessarily completely chemical free, but the pesticide residues will be considerably lower than those found in produce manufactured with synthetic chemicals. So it's not free of pesticides and herbicides and chemicals when you actually get it, right? It's not free of those things, it's just lower. That's odd. I've always wondered about that because, um, coming from a family of people, like coming from a family that grows a lot of their own food, they grow their own veggies and fruits and stuff throughout the year, as well as raising meat, whether it's goat, lamb, beef, what have you, right? Um, Talk about organic, right? They're not spraying those garden patches down with fucking heaps of chemicals to kill the bugs. They're just putting plants in there that prevent the bugs. They're growing other things alongside those veggies that prevent the bugs, or at least give the bugs something else to eat rather than your tomatoes and your cucumbers or whatever. Um, so I guess organic to me always meant that, but that's not what it is. When you think about the kind of food you get from a supermarket, there is going to be a certain amount of chemicals left in the food itself, right? This is an issue they have with hydroponically grown marijuana, especially illegally hydroponically grown marijuana, right? So when you're growing marijuana, you have what's called these like different stages, right? But then there's like a flower stage, a fruiting stage, and then there's a cleansing stage where you stop putting any fertilizers in and you let the plant cleanse itself, right? And the problem arises when you have people that don't go through that stage, right? They're not cleansing their plant of these fertilizers that they've been putting in. And it doesn't matter if the fertilizers are natural or not, you're still going to have the fertilizer residue throughout that fucking flower, throughout the fruit, which is a flower. Anybody, yeah, that's sweet, yeah, whatever. And so the problem arises, especially in places like Australia and other areas where it's illegal, where you have this not just lower quality uh, plant, like lower quality fruiting or flower in marijuana's case, but you also have them, they have these residues. And I've had weed in the past, obviously not anytime recently because that's illegal, but I've had weed in the past where it has not just a taste, but it makes you feel fucking gross. It makes you feel shit afterwards, if you've ever had like just pure real nice weed and you wake up the next day feeling refreshed and like, oh fuck, I'm ready to go play some disc golf. I'm ready to go sling some plastic at some trees, fucking great. But then there's those other times where you have some and it just makes you feel, it gives you literal shits, like you actually have to shit your pants. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, Hershey is and Nestle are doing a rot on the system. Hello. Cat's bugging me for food as always. Yeah, so Nestle's doing this rot on the system, probably getting heaps of money from that. You know what? That's probably what their money's going into, right? They're making a bunch of money off of, hey, we do organic cocoa. We pay our workers the minimum wage, for that area, whatever that is. I wonder what it is. Let's take a look, shall we? Since we're doing this, and I guess I could be sharing the screen right now. Should be scared. Sharing the screen. Share screen. Sharing the screen. Is it working? Yeah. Share. Okay. Okay. I'm sharing the screen. What is the minimum wage for fair trade workers in um, Peru? Take a look. What is the minimum wage salary in Peru? Key points. Peru's gross monthly minimum wage increased from 930 pen per month to 1,025 pen per month, about $271 per month. Okay. Interesting. And I wonder, like, so this is probably So, better cost of fair trade. Oh, so this is from Financial Times, and you got to be honest with like everything is biased. So these are like this is like fucking bullshit. This is how little they're actually paid. Um, yeah, I know. I don't accept cookies. I just keep scrolling. Gangly 25-year-old wearing a filthy Argentinian national. I don't care. It's really sad. Picks coffee in Moyobamba region on the edge of the jungle. Okay, that's in Peru. He and his coworkers work from 6 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., for which they are paid 10 sols a day, or about $3, better than the 8 sols a day some coffee farmers pay. He says, however, the amount is below the 11.20 sols a day that is the legal minimum he should receive, even after a 30% discount from the official rate of 16 sols, which pays for his accommodation and meals. So, what is happening is he is uh, getting paid, but then a chunk of his wage is going to the accommodation, which is probably just a big barn with a bunch of like a hostel, right? But a hostel in the jungles of Peru where people are getting paid, what was it, $3 a day? So you can imagine that fucking hostel's probably not really nice. Yeah, weird, weird. Anyway, so that's that. That is what fair trade means, at least in Peru. So it doesn't seem like the minimum wage is very high there, which is very unfortunate. So I don't know. I don't know how to go about fixing that situation, right? Because you've got these massive companies, Nestle and Hershey, that are they're producing this product that everybody enjoys. I mean, who doesn't fucking love chocolate, right? And that's the problem. See, it's like you tell the whole world, hey, price of chocolate's going to go up because we're actually going to be paying the people that work there to, like a legitimate wage instead of $3 a day. We're paying them $100 a day, right, to pick this cacao because it's backbreaking work and they're doing it and they only lived to so many years and then they'd fucking die. And so at least we're going to give their families some kind of um, money, like some kind of like I don't know what's the fucking word. There's a word for it. Incentive, right? We're going to give people an incentive to actually work, um, and bust their ass. Uh, so yeah, chocolate bars are going to go from $8 a bar, which is what they're starting to go up to here in Australia, to you know, $26 a bar, right? Well, now poor people can't buy chocolate because it's too expensive, right? And so then they start like milking it down. And you know what? Actually, let me look this up too, because yeah. So in Australia, they've actually already started watering down chocolate. No, 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 no. That percentage of chocolate in Hershey's, let's say Hershey's milk chocolate. Percentage of chocolate. So milk chocolate has a cacao percentage of 35 to 55%. The remainder of the bar is made of milk powder and sugar. Milk chocolate is essentially dark chocolate, except that it contains more milk and dairy fat when compared to dark chocolate. The milk and dairy fat provide a creamy texture and light brown color, right? So that's 35 to 55%. And this is probably, from November 2022. Percentage of chocolate in milk chocolate, 1992. Is it even gonna? Probably not. I doubt it. Oh, but the amount of sugar they've put in has changed drastically. So let's look at this. This is the new study reveals sugar in some chocolates. Action on sugar. So, decline. This is obviously biased towards, against sugar, which, take what you will. So in 1992, per 100 grams, Cadbury's Burnville Classic Dark Chocolate had 55 grams of sugar per 100 grams, and now it has 57.5 in 2017. So I wonder what it is in 2023. Probably pretty high. Nestle Crunch 50 to 51.5. That's not a huge jump. Where's the most drastic one? Milk chocolate Brazil nuts 2.7 to 41. Far out. That's almost 10 grams of chocolate added to it. Now you think this might not make a lot of sense to anybody. Yesterday, me and Jonah were talking. Oh, Nestle Milky Bar buttons actually uses less chocolate than it used to. Interesting. Um, so in a there's 1,000 grams in 1 kilogram, right? That should be common sense, right? That's just basic maths. Now, so you take 1 kilogram, and 1,000th of that is a gram, but then you're multiplying that by almost 10. So you're putting 10 grams of sugar into into a new bar. What's a gram? So 10 gram to ounce. It's 0.357 ounces, so it's not heaps, but it is. I mean, it's more than you would think. How many teaspoons is in 10 grams? 10 grams is 2.4 teaspoons, right, of granulated sugar. So you're adding 2.4, nearly 2.4 teaspoons of sugar to each chocolate bar. Um, that's a lot. That's a lot of sugar. That's heaps. Whether they're using that to water it down, I don't fucking know. This is just what it is. Take it or leave it. I don't know. That's the moral of the story. I got no idea. It seems weird to me that when you've got a company that's chopping down rainforest to plant cacao, uh, and then they're using the profits of that to plant trees in another place, right? See, I don't understand why we don't just. Well, I guess I do, right? You can't plant cacao trees here, right? I mean, you could. They'd probably grow really well in Australia because of where we are on the equator and like the climate and stuff. It'd probably be really good. But uh, it would be expensive, because then you'd have to pay Australian workers Australian wages to pick Australian cacao. Um, and then I guess there's an argument to say that like now you're taking those jobs away from Peruvians or anybody who lives in South America that's picking this cacao and coffee, and it's the same with coffee, cacao, anything that they grow there. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's a weird world we live in where this is just globalism in a nutshell. Is you can buy a thing of pears that fucking were picked in Argentina and they were packaged in Taiwan and they were shipped to fucking Germany to have labels put on them, and then those are fucking shipped all over. Fuck off. Those shipped all over the world to you to enjoy in a lunch that's got like my lunches is like 2 or 3 cans of tuna, some oranges, clementines, and a granola bar, right? And all those things are separately packaged. They're all from somewhere else. Not much of it is grown in my own backyard, and that's just because I have a really small backyard and I'm not allowed to put a garden in. But yeah, it's that's crazy, crazy to think about. Um, anyway, so I hope you guys have a beautiful day. I hope you are able to detwine or untwine your emotions from your rants. I guess something that I've been working on recently, and I'm not very good at it. I get stupid passionate about things that I don't necessarily understand, and when you do that, you get filled with a blind rage, and and then sometimes you just can't stop that steam train once it starts. It's just fucking chugga 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 chugga, you know. And there is no choo choo. It's just fucking chugga 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 until you run into that fucking brick wall and take out whoever's there. Hopefully they know you're coming. They heard the chugga chuggas, but like I said, no choo choo. So yeah, breathing exercises and stuff have helped me a lot, and I think maybe this will help a bit. I hope so. I hope that me being able to organize maybe my thoughts as they come the practice of doing that will allow me to be able to implement it into real life, not just on a podcast. Because I mean, all in all, like if I just absolutely shit my pants on this and didn't like what I sounded like or whatever, I could just not post it. I'm gonna post it, but I could not, right? But when you're having interactions in your life with people around, your coworkers and your family and your friends, uh, you don't want to. I can't say there's often been times where I've said something that I regretted. Um, Not often. There's definitely been times, but not often, and definitely not often can I say. Almost never can I say that I said something that affected a relationship of mine so negatively that it was not fixable. It was not reconcilable. So, but I think a lot of that is in part just because a lot of the people that I've surrounded myself are extremely understanding, and it's through no through no um, graciousness of mine by any means, at least as far in my mind. So yeah, but that being said, I guess I've got to get out of here. I've got to head to work soon, so I've got to go feed this cat. Say hello. No, of course not. Yeah, so love you guys heaps. Y'all have a fabulous day today. Go out, seize the cunt, fucking grab it by the fucking horns and just hump the day into submission and make it yours, Can't do it every day, but you can do it sometimes. Okay? Okay. Love you guys heaps. We will catch you guys next time. If you guys find out anything else about Nestle or Hershey or Fairtrade or organic farming or anything, go ahead, comment on this, whether it's on YouTube or Spotify. Tune in this Friday for our regular episode drop. I think it'll be Tuesday when I post this. Yeah. Um, yeah, so look out for that. And then if you really want to get into some crazy stuff, go check out our Patreon, the Weasel Podcast it's patreon.com/the Weasel Podcast. We've got another hour and a bit of content every week on there. It's a good time. That's the brooch. So yeah. Bye bye.